Right, good afternoon, everyone. We are delighted to welcome you all to another insightful session on connecting the dots. First and foremost, our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speakers for joining us today and contributing their valuable perspective on this panel discussion. Mr. Naval Bajaj, Finance Leader, Mr. Naveen Kumar, General Manager, Treasury and Supply Chain Solutions at Olam Agri India Private Limited. Mr. Bhavik Bhimani, Vice President and Group Finance Controller at Thomas Cook India Limited. Mr. Venugopal Rao Pandiala, CXO Business Transformation and Technology at Alicon Castalloy Limited. We are truly honored to have such accomplished leaders with us, bringing their expertise and insights to this discussion. To know more about our speakers, you can follow them on LinkedIn. The links are shared on the chat window. Now, on behalf of HREI, I also extend a warm welcome to our participants to this session on the impactful topic AI in finance from automation to intelligent forecasting. For more information about HREI and upcoming events, please visit the links shared in the chat window. It's now my privilege to introduce today's moderator, Mr. Venugopal Rao, who will be leading today's discussion with his deep insights and expertise. With that, I hand it over to you, Mr. Venu.
May proceed, Faisal?
Yes, you can start this
Yeah.
one.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is a topic which actually going round the round about the artificial intelligence, which in the previous topics also with the HRA, we are very much familiar the topics on artificial intelligence and digitalization. And if you see in the industry right now, every board, whenever we wanted to have a discussion with them, any topic comes or any upgradation we are planning for it, so they always ask for it. What are the areas which actually we are using the artificial intelligence to gain the advantage out of it? So efficiency time, very agility point of view, fast decision making. At the same time, so many other areas AI is going to help us. The service industry, or you can call it as a manufacturing industry, MES, Industry 4, digitalization of finance, or if you see the enterprise resource planning side also, if you see many of the ERPs which are there if you see the SAP S4 HANA 2025, you can call it as right now they are coming up with the business AI. So anywhere, everywhere, how effectively artificial intelligence actually going to help the organization to enhance their efficiency. At the same time, there are some something like we don't want to hear it of like some job losses are happening and other things, but technology always is going to give you the two dimensional things like some advantages, some disadvantages. Whenever the technology completely going to replace, something else will come up. So from that perspective, thanks HRA to bringing some very interesting topic on artificial intelligence in finance, particularly from their automation to intelligent forecasting. Like I firmly believe that the type of forecasting you do in any organization, irrespective of which industry it is, the accuracy of forecasting which is going to go up, that's actually going to give a lot of benefits to the leaders and give immense confidence, and they will prepare themselves for the future deliveries, future service providing and other things. So how actually AI and finance in this particular area is going to help us, that's a topic which we are going to. So elite panel which is comprising of three already introduced by the Faisal. So definitely I myself is looking forward for some enterprising association and as well at the same time discussions towards it. So a couple of context setup point of view, like finance is moving from cost control and compliance to foresight and resilience, which we never heard of in the past. Actually, something this judgment, because if you see the in the industry, many people use their previous trends or gut feel or something, like some of the people very serious decisions they take on intuition. So, but augmenting leadership decisions is the one which is AI. What recent days. Today's discussion for your leadership choices, governance, people, and scale. So with that, now I'll my first question. I just would like to ask you this topic. If I see, so how has AI changed the nature of CFO foresight? Bhavik, over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Let me just setting the context first, and then of course I'll elaborate. Today, finance is experiencing one of the most significant transformation in its history. Now, for years, CFOs have been focused on cost control, reporting accuracy and compliance. But AI is shifting finance agenda from, I would say, operational efficiency to a strategic foresight. Now, AI-powered insights are enabling us to move from looking into the rear view mirror to anticipating what lies ahead. Now, finance leaders now, play a central role in shaping business strategy, identifying risk before they materialize it, uncovering business growth, profitable growth opportunities, and of course, ensuring long-term resilience in this volatile world. Let me just add to the few of the elements. First is, of course, when we say there is a, from back office efficiency to a strategic influence. So AI is pushing finance beyond, traditional roles of reporting, cost control, and compliance. Now, CFOs are becoming strategic co-pilot, providing real-time insights that shapes the, pricing, market expansion, and investment decision. That is the first element. Second, I would say on the real time, the data is real time available. And however, you need to ensure that the real time data can use be of a real time decisions. How business can take the decision based on the visibility of real time data. So nowadays, AI-driven automation reduces, manual reconciliations, closing cycles, report generation. This frees up the team's time, so that team can focus on scenario building, risk signals, forward-looking KPIs, rather than, backward-looking KPIs of what has been already done. That is the second element. Third is, as I think Venugopal has mentioned, that intelligent forecasting and predictive resilience. Now, we must all be doing the forecasting once we prepare the budget. Post that, on monthly or maybe quarterly basis, we would be doing the forecasting. But with AI coming in, now we will have that facility through which, AI will give us the integration of the external data as well, and you will get to know all this commodity pricing, macro trends, competitor signals, customer behaviors through with the help of AI. So your intelligent, the forecasting would be more intelligent, I would say, rather than what we were doing all this while. So this is the third element through which AI is definitely helping us driving this. Fourth is what I feel that, as a finance, as a CFO, is a guardian of data and AI ethics. Now, AI makes the data governance, security, and privacy fundamental. It's CFO's responsibility. Now, CFO oversees not just financial controls, but model controls as well, which should be without, it takes care of biasness. There has to be a transparency. There has to be a adaptability of algorithms of whatever the AI that you are putting in. Ensures trust in AI. Now, whatever the AI that you are deploying, you need to make sure that you have ensured the of trust, and you need to drive this to your across your team as well as across to your organization. Fifth element is of course the talent transformation. Now, there has to be a new finance skill set which will be there in your team and across organization, which will definitely help you, focus on not on manual reporting, but focus more on a data literacy, scenario modeling, understanding AI, of, outputs, risk. Then, of course, you need to also collaborate with the cross-functional business partnering, and of course, the training is a very important aspect here. Now, as a finance or any department, I would say we need to continuously train our people so that they will be equipped with a new skill set to make sure that we are there in the industry standpoint while there are a lot of AI and a lot of tool are being implemented. So I think the training is really a most important part. What I feel the fifth element that I see. Six is reallocating the capital and time. Now, since we have AI and all automation in place, there will be a capacity which you can redirect towards growth initiatives, M&A, analytics, strategic cost transformation, and innovation funding, basically innovation funding. Seventh, I would say CFO as they're the champion of enterprising AI adoption. Now, finance often becomes the lighthouse function for, who demonstrate the AI values. Now, you need to educate, you need to give that visibility to all your stakeholders, including your CEOs as well as your business heads and all other stakeholders, and make them understand the value of real KPI through which, you will get definitely from AI, so that they will be able to take the right decision at the right point of time based on the visibility of data. Lastly, I would say AI is moving the CFO agenda from the bookkeeping to a business foresight, and from explaining the past to shaping the future. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bhavik. In a nutshell, encapsulated everything in a very fast. And just to like to add to this that particularly technology point of view, intelligent forecasting is actually a challenge for all CFOs as of now. Any type of intelligent forecasting. I strongly feel whoever is actually using the artificial intelligence. I'm actually a huge fan of artificial intelligence. That's why you can see my role also I change in the transformation. So that's as such we are. So it's a huge benefit for the organization if you really able to adopt this AI. So from that perspective, technology we is nothing but we are talking about the how we are actually going to generation technology upgradations are taking place. So now it's like a trusted data and governance. From that perspective, is trusted data a technology issue or a leadership accountability issue? Taking the topic into the consideration. Yes, over to you, Naval.
Thank you, Mr. Venugopal, and good afternoon to all of you listening to this webinar right now. A very important question about trust, which has been put up by Mr. Venugopal to me. And I think who understands it better than a CFO or a finance professional? Because trust means that it's not only about just saying that, yeah, I can trust it, but it should be demonstrated. And when I say demonstrated or demonstrated trust on a data, it means it has to be audited or auditable. It has to be explainable and it should be defendable. And to whom? To all the stakeholders. First stakeholder is myself, because I have to sign the reports, financial reports, not only the statutory parts, also the business reports, but also to the board, to the regulators, to the investors. So as long as the data can be audited, can be explained, and can be defended, it is trustable. This is the bottom line for me. Now, how does it become auditable or explainable or defended? Easy to use these terms, but in an AI environment where algorithms can be pretty complicated, it's a little difficult to demonstrate, and therefore going slow and understanding the dynamics of how each algorithm is working is very, very important. So I would try to give one small example, and then maybe it'll be more clear because this is an HR forum. So rather let me pick up an HR related example. So for example, hiring is one of the top concern area, manpower budgeting, and how many resources will be needed, etc., etc. It's always a hot topic for any HR professional, including the CFOs, of course. Now, if we are using an AI model, which will look at the past data, look at the various attributes of the data. It may predict that historical attrition is low, and therefore we may not need so many of future resources. However, what it may ignore, and this I'm citing an example without naming a company based on a real life example. What this may ignore is the upcoming expansion plans, which are not even crystallized into financial midterm or long-term plans, which are not so clear, but they are in the mind of the management. What it may miss out is any leadership changes that are going to happen. So, for example, if the top leadership changes, the entire plan goes for a toss, the entire decision making goes slow, and then it impacts your hiring process as well. What it could also ignore the market conditions. It could also not know that your competitor is going to set up just in the next building and they are going to poach a lot of your resources. So I'm just giving these examples, which um, may not be known to the AI model. And at the same time, there are a lot of indicators in our data which may be ignored by humans. So for example, one thing that comes to my mind is managers always focus on, retaining top performers. All of us do like that, right? Then we generally talk about, what was the employee engagement survey score. Now, there are n number of examples in the world where employee engagement scores never gave the real picture because people were scared to voice out their opinions. So, but that is data. Then recent resignation. So a lot of these indicators are missed out by humans, which are available in the data. So I think the trust part of uh, the AI based tools or overall governance, everyone has to come together and work like a team. For example, business leaders need to own the data meaning and usage because they know the dynamics of the game. They know the competition, they know the market, they know the inside outside story. Then, as finance, we need to own the data integrity and controls around that. It should not be manipulated. There should be very structured, logical reasoning around the algorithm. Then IT needs to own the security part and the architecture part. And of course, HR will overall govern the ethics and especially on the personal data and other stuff. So it's the entire team which is accountable to ensure a trusted data is available and then have a governance around it. And then and only then we are going to have a very good result of a joint effort of humans and artificial intelligence.
Thanks, Naval, for giving and endorsing that. In my this one context, I said AI is not about replacing judgment; it's augmenting leadership decisions. So definitely, because during day to day, this one also, if you carefully see the way you humanize it, so it requires a lot of domain expertise. That's why you see in AI, many of the startups are not succeeding. The reason is you don't have domain expertise. So domain expertise definitely play a role. So you must take based on domain expertise, AI advantages you should have. So that's the thing. Well explained, Naval. So I'm just coming back to very interesting question to Naveen. Forecasting beyond spreadsheets, right? So how does AI change speed, confidence, and frequency of planning decisions? Over to Naveen.
Yeah, thanks, Venu, and thanks, HRI, for the opportunity. And like everybody mentioned, it's a very interesting topic and buzzword. But I'll try to dejargonize whatever I understand and whatever we try to implement. Yeah, I work with one of the largest global agri commodity traders. And in trading, the velocity of money and consequently decision making is what lets you survive and thrive from time to time. Earlier, it was, I mean, whatever data points we had, uh, the number of variables which were monitored by a trader were finite. Now they are increasing day by day. I was just talking to one of my traders. I saw you have 4 screens. What do you exactly, I mean, monitor on these 4? And do you think number of variables increasing? Would you put more screen? And we had a very interesting discussion that, I mean, whatever information I have, a human brain can only track finite number of variables, 7 to 8, on a real-time basis. More than that just creates noise, and sometimes rather than enhancing decision making, it reduces your effectiveness. So it's not that I will simply increase the number of screens or because I can't track more variables than this. What I can do is I can uh, change the variables which I track, and some of those variables which are very necessary to track, which I can't do away with, I have to take the help of technology. Uh, we are not in that phase where we can completely replace those processes, though we definitely talk about algo trading and all those things, but we cannot replace the entire decision making by I think I would say AGI, but we can definitely outsource some of those variable tracking to AI and reduce the number of effective variables for us to increase the decision making. Earlier, if I remember 15 years back, for forecasting, we used to use SPSS and previous data to forecast. I'll just give you one example. I did a project once where for one of the tire companies, they had to predict how many tires they need to replace. So accordingly, they can give the warranty and number of years or number of months accordingly. So for that, we had to pull out historical data of 20 years, run through autoregressive heteroscedasticity through SPSS, and then forecast that these are the number of tires which you need to replace going forward. And that was a mammoth amount of work. It took me almost a month to put that thing into place. But I think today the kind of people we have, that also the kind of skill set people bring. I mean, it's very difficult to deal with Gen Z. Everybody says that, but I would also say the kind of edge they bring to the table, I don't have it, and I don't think uh, we are able to unlearn and relearn that fast. They simply discard the overall school of thought which we have in place, and they simply question it from point zero. So basis that I would say we cannot replace those spreadsheet entirely as of now, but I foresee in next 5 years everything which is repetitive, which I have to do again, even twice a day, that will go to somebody else, and not the person. I would say to a machine. Wherever I need to take those decisions basis those iterations, that will still stay intact. Whatever level of progress we do with AI, there has to be some level of human intuition, gut, which actually replaces the model. I would like to bring two examples and points. So one is from a movie, I think, where it was about landing a flight in case of distress. I'm just forgetting the name, and it was about that the model predicted that you can't do it within that short fraction of time. But it was human effort which said, no, this is my experience, it will happen. Now, can we outlive that? We can when we have all possible variations of human intelligence into the model, which I think is very difficult to do because there are billions of people and billions of people have a different viewpoint on a certain thing. And you can't train an AI model based all kinds of permutation and combination. So forecasting, it will happen for majority of the part. For some part of it, it will still remain with the human angle of it. And in our industry, like I said, uh, commodity, I mean, it behaves very erratically. Today in India, if we see all agri commodities are bearish, but you never know. I mean, from which point it will go bullish, and that point in time, my trader will ask for working capital, and I need to plan for it. But just imagine if my trader doesn't know when he will feel that bullishness and demand that working capital, how would I know? So basis the past trend, this is the current variables. I feel there is a case in point where we can develop a model where we can have those bots doing the donkey work and leave the horses work to some of the humans who will be the engine, and all those wagons doing passenger work would be by AI. So overall, what we have to do is we have to increase velocity of data in line with the velocity of money, so we can take those
Yeah.
decisions effectively. That's from my side.
Yeah. Thanks, Naveen. Actually, the follow-up question is the one which is, I think, Naval will be covering that. So that is a human plus machine intelligence, right? So where Must human judgment remain central despite better algorithms?
Yeah,
Over to
I
Nawal.
think that's a good follow-up question, Venugopalji. And but in the interest of audience, I'll try to connect firstly from what Naveen ji said already, and then move to this to what extent, as you rightly questioned. So, when we talk about forecasting beyond spreadsheets, so far what has been happening in the corporates or organizations that business people, they have their own understanding or experience of multiple years. They know, if this happens, this is the way it is going to be. If the initial 3 months of your uh, order intake is like this, then you may end up somewhere close to this and blah blah blah. So these kind of thumb rules or benchmark rules are already known to humans who are part of the corporate strategy teams or the business teams, right? And of course, finance supports them in all those calculations and uh, bringing out the predictions or the forecasting. But with technology, we can go um, much more in detail. And as Naveen was also mentioning, go with a lot of variables that are, available. And um, at the end of the day, it might still arrive at the same conclusion which a human was giving, which um, may be the same conclusion. But essentially, you are more data driven, you are more confident about this prediction because it's coming based on some certain logics. Now, certain logics can be missed out, as I pointed out earlier also, and that is the risk of using these latest technologies because they are also learning to some extent, and they are learning from us only. Whatever we give to them, they are learning based on that. So if humans are overriding the data itself, for example, I'll give you an example that if an AI model predicts that your inventory is going to be lower going forward based on the past data and cyclical data and the current, the way the business is. But if we have not included that manual override or manual entries which are happening in SAP, which were not happening through a separate module, I mean, this is going to give a wrong detail. So, and a lot of times these mistakes do happen practically because it is not the finance teams or the business teams who are implementing these AI models. They are technology background people. They have certain consultants or who have financial knowledge. They ask you some questions based on which the operational teams or the finance teams are giving the data. And based on that, they are building that model. But sometimes in that exchange of information, you end up missing out giving those key leads or the manual or the exceptional items, and then that is where the error happens. So um, what I'm trying to say here is that um, human intervention continues to be very important. While I agree with the directional answer by Naveenji that essentially everything will get automated, whatever is repetitive. That I agree. In fact, I would say one more thing. Even if it is not repetitive, it is going to get ultimately automated because the way AI has transitioned from, let's talk about agentic AI, right? I'm not talking about generative AI, agentic AI. Nothing is repetitive. I mean, you ask a question, what is Yokogawa? The answer that you will get is much elaborate and much better than what an employee, 5-year-old employee of the company may answer you. So, customer service centers, their experience, product explanations, all those things, they are basically a decisions being made, but not the strategic decisions, right? They are all day-to-day interactive decisions, which otherwise also humans are doing. So essentially, it is already happening, but it is just the pace of it and the industry and application. But AI is now able to do a lot of stuff which humans were the only ones who were supposed to do. AI is able to track your um, tone and identify which mood you are. for example. So um, if we are talking about, to what extent human intuition will remain, I'll say all the positions of accountability will remain with humans. And I am not saying this is a limitation of technology, but this is the way our structures are, the way the government has made all the laws, the way our regulators look at things. If something goes wrong, they need someone to be held accountable, and that has to be a human. They can't hang a, machine. So, and same applies from those accountable positions like ours to the people who are supporting us. We will also make someone accountable at the end of the day. I mean, if you would have read what happened to one of the big four consulting firms in Australia, that they wrote a very elaborate study for government, which was all based on ChatGPT. It had all the references which were wrong, but some, intern or, someone junior, he did the job. He gave it to the partner. Partner said, "Have you checked it?" Yeah, yeah, I have checked it. The references are there. Everything is there. And then it was published. And at the end of the day, everything turned out to be wrong. And now there is a big penalty, risk of blacklisting that is happening in Australia. So um, human intervention, accountability is very, very important. It will continue to be there at least for a few more years, if not forever. But beyond that also, I mean, beyond this accuracy issue, which I just highlighted, there are certain leadership-based decisions which are not pattern-driven. Like, for example, cost optimization may require us for workforce rationalization based on some productivity or utilization data. If we are comparing ourselves with competition, all those things will come. But at the end of the day, human judgment on capability, morality, long-term competitiveness, those things will have to remain with humans because they impact the humans. So, and the last but not the least, anything which has to be 100% accurate, like fraud detection. So now it's very, very commonly used now. I mean, the data analytics, vendor master analytics is happening, your customer master analytics is happening, financial data is happening. A lot of green flags, red flags, or those of flags are being given by the machines, right? But to conclude whether a fraud was actually there or not, you need a human because it impacts someone's life. Very important. And secondly, the accuracy is still not up to the mark. Accuracy may still be around 60, 70%. Still, there are 30% wrong things which are happening. You can continue to train, but it will still not, as of now, I don't see it, going to the 100%. So to summarize, what I'm saying is accuracy, accountability, and accuracy and human involvement, or where the impact is on the life of someone, or on the overall career of someone, and those kind of decisions, they will continue to be with humans because humans only understand humans.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Naval. Very aptly summarized that. And definitely for scenario analysis, it can be utilized. So we usually do 1 or 2 scenario analyses, but by utilizing AI, you can do n number of scenario analysis the way you want it to be. So there definitely leaders will have a choice as to do that. So much of the decisions which leaders. So now, very interesting question to the Bhavik. I'm coming back to you. Risk regulations responsibility. If I talk about this, how do we explain AI assisted decisions to the boards and regulators? Like Naval rightly said, the fall of, I think I don't want to mention the firm, but it's they already paid a good penalty in Australia by doing through AI. So the same, if I come back to you, there is a government, now here is a board. So how actually, from that perspective, how do you explain AI assisted decisions to the boards and regulators?
Thanks, Gopal. I think we whatever we do, we should not forget our fiduciary duty when any deployment generation or any, when you are using any predictive AI in finance. So I think A couple of points. First is whatever we do, innovation, there has to be a control. Innovation has to be with control. It cannot be with, like the innovation versus control. Okay. So I think AI adoption doesn't require compromising fiduciary responsibility. Uh, Treat AI the same way finance treats any critical system with governance, auditability, as I think Navalji had mentioned this, transparency. There is first element. Second, what I feel that, nowadays we like there is a concept of MRM, which is your model risk management, must evolve these days. Now, traditionally, wherever there is a model, for any model that we incorporate, there has to be a governance which was built for determining the models and not generative AI. Now, finance needs a modern MRM framework, including, there has to be a data lineage, there has to be a quality check, then there is a bias testing has to happen. Then we also should check that there has to be a scenario testing and a stress testing, which happens when we do any kind of deployment. Of course, human validation before output is used in any decisions. So that is the second. Third is, of course, what I think Navalji has mentioned, this human in the loop and making the decision. So AI can generate insights, but the final judgment will remain with the finance professionals. So I think there has to be a human intervention in everything what we do. Critical processes like forecasting, capital allocation, credit decisions should require human evaluation. Uh, then, of course, there has to be a responsible use of data. Now, at times, and considering we are all in different industries, we have possesses lot of data of customers, suppliers. So, leader and a finance leader must safeguard all these datas which AI uses. So, compliance with emerging global regulations that we have becomes a proactive responsibility of the finance leader. Along with the, of course, we can take the help of IT, but we need to drive that. Then there is a algorithm mentioned by I think Navinji, that there has to be a transparent algorithm build trust. Now finance teams and auditors should be able to explain why an AI model produces a recommendation. So I think it is you need to justify that why why AI has given this output. What is the data behind? What is the logic behind it? We should also, we can focus on when we have lot of automations are in pipeline. You can, risk adjusted adoption roadmap that you can have, which means start with the low risk automation, which can be your reconciliations, anomaly detections and all, and then move to the forecasting, cash management, analytics, scenario modelings once governance matures. CFO also owns the ethical agenda. Now, CFO ensures AI-driven decisions, upholds fiduciary duty, ethics, corporate accountability. This includes ensuring no model, introduces unfair bias, mispriced risk, or inaccurate financial projections. At the end, I would like to say responsible AI in finance is not about slowing down innovation. It's about ensuring innovation in a trustworthy, auditable, and aligned with fiduciary duty. Thanks, Venu.
So,
Yeah.
Venu, I would also like to add in here. Sorry. So,
Yes,
adding to
please.
what the Bhavik said, and I'll try to bring a practical example of what I think I've seen as a banker. I work with multiple banks in past. So, one of the banks, HSBC, acquired one of the smaller banks in Mexico in 2003. And in 2010, they realized that some of the transactions have undergone through that particular bank for Mexican drug lords. And they themselves trying to came up with that and told the regulator that this has happened. Despite that, they were fined for $2 billion in 2012. And there was a committee set up under a retired judge of DOJ, US. And it was advised that, improve your processes as to why your nostro should not be cancelled. And just imagine a bank which, takes care of almost 70% of trade finance globally, and its nostro gets cancelled. So a 200-member team was put on by under that DOJ retired judge, and they monitored the bank for 5 years in different locations, each and every processes. And HSBC spent more than $1 billion and thousands of workforce just to ensure that not even a single transaction, which is, not bona fide, should go through the systems. But just imagine that if that decision making went through a human, that declaration that we have done wrong also came through a human. Just imagine if those kind of transaction happens in today's scenario, where banks or any financial institution holds a fiduciary responsibility. In fact, today's article I was reading on CNN, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, has reported that adults or seniors have been duped off of $81.5 billion through scams and frauds. Now, just imagine today it takes a lot of humans to do that cold calling and scam you. If it all gets automated, what happens? And apart from senior citizen, the overall number which they've estimated, inclusive of all kind of people, it's around $195 billion. And I'm not adding what happens to corporate. A lot of corporate fraud we have seen in past, some email scam, some other kind of scam. So the fiduciary responsibility increases for all stakeholders, not just for a financial institutions. Today, if something happens between a vendor and a buyer, they can keep on playing the blame game, but somebody has to foot the bill that this scam has happened. So I would again say that despite all the processes being codified to be automated in future, there would be always, like Naval said, there would be an element of accountability. You can't hang a machine. It has to be human who has to take the fire. So overall risk reporting has to improve, and rather it will go into more nitty-gritty. So today, if I put 5 people to reconcile, if they bring 2 red flags, I do expect if I put 5 bots and agentic bots, then they should bring in 5 more and in lesser cost and with lesser bureaucracy. As a finance person, as a risk manager, I would like to put in more process, but not to the extent where it hinders business. So overall, we can create n number of processes, and somehow the business guy will come and say it's more bureaucratic than it was a year before. So the functions and processes have to evolve with all the help of AI, and at some point completely AI, but not at the cost of speed, not at the cost of increased risk. And to add to that, we also have to keep in mind that, like a legal system, none of the innocent person or innocent transaction gets punished for increased processes. So today, if we try to put in processes, we try to still see that the supervision is done by humans. So at some point in time, that will also go away. Case in point is, if today if you go to any doctor, you say I have fever, simply subscribe 10 tests. And now we miss, no, doctor is not even touching me, not even seeing my pulse. So how can he just write 10 tests? Overall, whole diagnostic industry has evolved over that. But did we realize that when did the transition happen? It happened. We did not realize when did that doctor actually became more of an analyzer rather than a doctor. And it will also happen to our processes. We might say that, okay, there will be a human angle, but I'm sure that transition will be so swift. And within the next 5 years, we will realize while we are talking that most of the processes will go through that transformation, that we are just out of it. We have to prepare ourselves and our workforce to supervise them well, so none of the justified transactions get shot down. Thank you. That's all my side.
Thank you, Naveen. So the follow-up question again, interesting one for the Naval. Transformation at scale. Just know some of the things already you talked about. So is actually for any company is going to be the third-party softwares or integrations usually happen, and many ERPs are there. Every country to country it varies, and company to company it changes with respect to processes. So the question to the Naval is, what works better in legacy ERP? Stepwise AI adoption or reinvention?
Okay, interesting question. From my point of view, while the full reinvention sounds very attractive, but it's really value accretive, especially in the large companies. And anyways, as financial professionals, we are a little, I should say, risk aware, not averse, but risk aware. And um, at least I'm not talking about AI here, but I have seen um, some very big corporations, CIOs lose their job because they wanted to have a S4 HANA implemented across the world in a big bang, and it miserably failed. Um, Multiple companies, not one or two, because I keep talking to friends. Um, Similarly, about AI, um, again, as we have all been discussing that it's evolving and we have to make sure that it's accurate and value comes out, etc. I think it's very important for a stepwise adoption, and that is more um, acceptable also usually. So if I am the decision maker, I would rather talk to my CIO or CISO that let's start with high impact but low risk use cases. For example, we have discussed forecasting, we have discussed working capital, we have discussed audit process automation. I mean, there are so many data points that we have to give to our statutory auditors or internal auditors regularly, but we never automate it. So every time someone is struggling with downloading the reports and all that. Anomaly detection, right? These are high impact areas, but risk is low. At the same time, I don't see AI as a replacement to ERP. It's a layer on top of ERP, because ERP is giving us a lot of data. And on top of it, we need to analyze the data with the capabilities of AI so that, we get more meaningful predictions, and more meaningful decision making support data, basically. So, so from my point of view, I think, for example, if I have to put my money on some AI model to start with, I'll rather put it on my cash flow forecasting, because my current cash flow forecasting is based on my discussions with the business, my past experience, ballparks, and all that. But rather, I would like to make it much more logical and much more detailed, data based. And that is where AI can really come up with, past, by studying the past 10 years behavior of a customer, by studying my vendors behavior, by studying the supply chain timelines. So those kind of things, bang on. But if you ask me whether I'm comfortable putting the entire statutory reporting, balance sheet, and profit and loss quarterly to be made by AI, maybe I'll try that next year, is what I'm saying. So risk is too high, and therefore, and I think one more important point is that the technology is evolving. I mean, last 5 years, the AI capability, the compute cost, the models available, everything is changed drastically. Now, initially, I remember 5 years back, we were talking about just the initial data insights or smart data insights to per se. Now, then came generative AI, which was already there, but it has come like a big bang, and everyone is now using chat GPTs and the co-pilots. Every organization has introduced, and agentic AI is already there. A lot of organizations are already using it. So, and a lot of them will start using it. So once all of this, the way it is going, we will keep changing the scenario. So if you ask me the same question next year, maybe my answer could differ. That is the fast pace at which we are going. I hope I answer your question. You are on mute, Venu.
No, no, it is already noted and it is published also by many Altman and as well the sensitive data like regulatory related and as well as finance related data not to be shared, not to be asked, because this is going to go into the public domain. It's not encrypted or neither it's protected. So that's the one you rightly said. It's absolutely this one. And so real time finance in the sense if Naveen comes in picture, what changes first with real time analytics? risk agility or expectations?
Right. So I think risk is like a brake, okay, which allows your car to accelerate at the faster speed. And it is very difficult sometimes. I've been on both sides, on business side also, on this side also, to understand that these are brakes and helping us with acceleration. With more and more variables being monitored, being tracked, reconciliation become easy. And taking forward what Naval said just a moment back, that maybe not this year, but next year I'll say, let's do it. I'll say that transitions have happened across fields. I'll give you one example of IBM Watson. I mean, today in some geographies, people would prefer IBM Watson over a practicing lawyer. They would question the ways and means of a practicing lawyer over IBM Watson. So that will happen in some of those individual professional industries first. And I would say finance is similar to that. So doctors, lawyers, chartered accountants, and by extension to finance. But how can we synthesize the best of both worlds is if we see that overall risk reporting is in real time rather than backward looking. It should be in present or forward looking. I mean, past looking, we have always been done all statements, all financial cash flows. I mean, I as a banker, I always used to ask when somebody used to give me a drawing past statement, what use is of this of to me? If you are a seasonal company, if you are agri company, you buy all your harvest in one single month. I mean, last 3 months DP stream doesn't give me anything. So those kind of problems would get addressed with these kind of reporting. Second, in terms of risk, a lot of variables. So 15 years back, when we used to go and meet a client, I used to ask him, sir, what's your turnover? How's your business doing? Today, I think if a banker would be going, I'm not a banker anymore, but they have all the variables available in public domain for a standard company, even if it's not listed, including, I mean, you go to Pro 42, you go to Save Risk, you go to Experian, download the report, you'll know more about the company than company knows about itself. Rather, they were surprised, oh, this is also borrowing I have done. I was not aware. They'll call the CFO, how come this charge is registered? You are not even aware. So I think decision making, and that is visible in P2P lending. If you see today, I was talking to one of the founder, to one of the P2P company. They process almost 6 million transactions a month, and they're just 27 people in the company. And they said we can't do anything manually. We have 108 APIs integrated into our decision making system, which creates a financial score. So I just questioned him, can't it go wrong? He said, Naveen, and this was the conversation a bit long back, 3-4 years back. He said, Naveen, some of the startups are reporting gross NPS of 6.5%. Mine is 1.5. So I can see a difference of 5%. So just I can't say anything subjective, but data says that this is better. So the number of variables which are increasing, that is the measure of risk reporting which is happening across the field, and even for a company. So I remember a few years back, and one of the company RTGS happened to a vendor twice. And as a banker, I asked him, how can it happen? They said we have SAP also, but not all processes can be automated. Some of them have a manual override. It did happen. So those kind of things should happen in real time. Those reconciliations should happen real time, and that will happen eventually. So risk reporting, just to summarize, it will happen real time and forward looking. Financial statements, today it's like a selfie. We try to, I mean, window dress the balance sheet, bringing out the best photo, not of your Aadhaar card, but of your Facebook. So that will also change for lenders to take right calls, for auditors. I think the biggest industry under threat would be auditing. I mean, if everything is done real time, I mean, big fours are would be under a lot of pressure. They need to reinvent themselves, like consulting. Otherwise, if you state the obvious, which I can do with a $5 tool, why would I pay you unless it's regulatory required? And the regulator will also go through that exercise. I mean, in past, if we see those PCAs applied to bank where they couldn't lend because gross NPA is elevated, I think any regulator would be able to handle it better 5 years down the line. Same kind of risk which emanated in past, like GFC or the paper tantrum or tariffs. even these could be better, I would say, monitored and addressed. So just summarizing, I mean, it has to be real time and forward looking as compared to backward
Yeah.
looking, which is has been
Yeah.
till now.
Thank you, Naveen. Well put. So the last 2 minutes. So I think leaders will take one question. The last question. I'll go to Naval. Vision 2030, if I call it as. Uh, will AA be a co-pilot to the CFO or an autonomous decision engine? In one word, if at all you are to say.
See, I think I partially answered it earlier also. CFO position is going to be there because regulators need it.
Yeah.
Blessing in disguise. But so therefore a co-pilot model will exist. But I think a lot of dynamics will change in next 5 years. And what a CFO does right now versus what a CFO will be doing at that time is going to change a lot. I think CFOs are going to be much more business oriented and, focusing more and more on predictions and supporting the business side with the use of this new and latest technologies is what I feel is going to happen. And primarily because there is a cost to all these AI models. That compute cost has to be substantiated by the additional business that you get. And
Yeah.
in terms of
Okay.
adoption in manufacturing side, especially, I see that especially on the predictive maintenance, plant maintenance, those kind of things, as of now, people have not really adopted it. So I think it is going to happen in next 5 years.
Yeah. One quick from the Bhavik.
No, I agree with what Navalji has mentioned. I think
One
it
answer.
is going to happen. Uh, yeah, it is going to happen, of course. It can be 5 years, it can be early also, is what I feel. Because all the industries are currently focusing on AI and, a lot of automations that are focusing. Couple of other elements also, of course, that will be there because there has to be a human touch into it. Like one example, just a common thing, I would say, a communication. Okay, now communication will not move away. Now, no, you will have to communicate back to your CEOs, your management, and you will have to communicate back to your employees and the all peers. So I think the effective communication will also play its role while this thing will happen. Co-pilot to CFO will happen, but I think yeah, with Navalji, that it is going to happen.
Yeah. One quick word from the Naveen. Uh, the last minute from our side.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
Naveen.
one thing.
Over to you.
Let's evolve in next 5 years, so we are still there and keep on learning. So so we are not replaced by bot. So I personally try to do one course every year. And this year, I think for 2026, the number is 3, and all related to cybersecurity and AI, which is not even related directly to my field. I left
Yeah.
computer science and engineering 2006. Now I'll take it back in 2026 after 20 years.
Okay.
Super.
Yeah, thanks, esteemed panelists. I think there are some questions posed by the participants. Faisal, uh, something we'll be able to take it up, or
Mm,
we'll
Yeah,
answer them
we can
separately.
take we can take one and then the
Yeah,
rest we can take it.
can you can you read out, please?
Yeah, 1 second. So there is one that has come from Mahindra. He's saying that how an AI is going to disrupt hiring process if it's a performing talent with a weak resume, rather too honest. And yes, would it not be a missed opportunity to the competition?
Yeah. Anyone?
I think it's asked to Naveen, so maybe Naveen can
Okay,
have a
okay,
go.
okay.
Yeah.
So see, I'll say this is a dichotomy. I mean, since ages. So whether it's about resume or yourself pitching it to somebody, uh, gone are those days where people used to write those long subjective lines. I mean, adjectifying your capabilities. It has to be more objective, driven by number, because AI doesn't know subjectivity. I mean, it will rather start with objectivity first. So if you have a weak resume being weak in a language is different thing. But if it carries numbers, how much you improved a process, how much you delivered in terms of numbers, every line should say some number. And then you have a better chance if it goes through a AI process of getting filtered and getting selected. If it is subjective, whether even if it's a strong resume, I mean, and you are very eloquent orator, still you won't get a chance to be shortlisted and get to the process. So, and wouldn't be a missed opportunity to the competition? Yes, it would be. I mean, it would always be there. It is the case right now. It has been the case since ages. So it is for the individual to ensure that their CV, whether strong or weak, it should carry numbers.
Well, I have a answer to just add to what Naveen said in a lighter vein. Right now, everyone is getting their CVs refurbished and refined by ChatGPT. So I don't even see this as a risk. Everyone is using AI to
Correct.
galvanize the CVs.
My
And now
entire
it's a
question,
risk to
yeah.
it's a risk to us how to differentiate between a genuine one and the one done by the AI.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, if just to add, if somebody is not using that, there is a problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Lot of disruption, I can call it as, but it's a definitely to some extent some boon to the leaders. Whoever has got less time to preparation for the meeting. So it's a summary and other things what you expect from the people, which take good amount of time because of their own personal occupancy or what call it as. So definitely AI is really helping us like anything. Uh, it's for the gut feel or intuition in that is getting replaced with the real data. So the loads of data whichever is there with us, so how to summarize that data, and it's all again depends on your domain expertise, what sort of question you pose, what sort of things you require, what is your intent. If you are very clear, definitely AI is going to play a vital role in these things. And maybe your dependency on some of the people might go, but nonetheless, domain expertise remains. And in finance area, actually, so many regulations, so many things are there. It's AI should help and promote that so that the CFO's efforts will get paid off it because of that. So with that, actually, we are esteemed panel. Thanks for the esteemed panel, and over to Faisal.
Thank you, Mr. Venu, for skillfully steering the discussion, ensuring a seamless flow of ideas and excellent engagement. We truly appreciate your dedication and commendable moderation. Thank you to our esteemed panelists. We truly appreciate the way you addressed both the opportunities and the responsibilities that come with adopting AI in finance. Your inputs on leadership mindset, data trust, forecasting intelligence, and the evolving role of financial professionals resonated strongly with our audience. We sincerely thank you for your time, expertise, and meaningful contribution to the discussion. For those eager to learn and grow, the recording of today's session is available on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. Thank you all to our participants for being part of the session. Your presence made the discussion even more meaningful. We look
Yeah.
forward to welcoming you to our next session on the topic cross-generational teams turning diverse mindset into a competitive edge on December 18, 2025. With that, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you for being part of this journey. Take care and
Yeah.
farewell for now. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Venu. Thank you,
Thank
Naval.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bhavik.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank
Naveen.
you,
everyone.
Nawal, Bhavik, and Naveen, and thank you, HRA and Faisal, taking up.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
thank
you.
you,
Gopalji.
everybody.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Namanji, Naveenji. Bye. Thank you,
Thank you.
Faisal.
Bye.